Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
And we're live from the living room as Doug eyes up the matchday spread. He's reaching for the buffalo wing. Perfect! Hang on, what's this? Oh, he's gone for a can of Pepsi too! Incredible! What a finish! Sensational combination! Look at the delight on his face. There's no doubt about it. It just tastes better. Match days deserve Pepsi. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a pack of Pepsi Zero Sugar for today's match. It's poetry in motion.
James Lankford from Oklahoma joining us right now. We're making broadcast history because we got two Oklahoma natives speaking to each other on the national airways. Outside of Oklahoma, that doesn't usually happen. So thanks for joining us. But, we're reeling here in New York, Senator, from these socialist, communist, anti-Semites winning in these elections last night. Tell me, please, things are better in Oklahoma.
Yeah, things are better than in Oklahoma. If you get outside the commie corridor there, you end up with a much better reality of where the rest of the country is. The rest of the country is scratching their head and saying, what in the world? No, who looks at Cuba and says, that's going great, let's do that, other than certain areas there around New York and your wonderful mayor. So it is a fascinating thing for the rest of the country to be able to watch. But literally everyone's scratching their head. The good folks in Florida are jumping up and down because they're saying more folks are about to move to Florida, buy land, and move out. So we're all watching at this point and saying New York's going to have to figure out how to be able to heal itself.
What about Oklahoma taking? I mean, I know Oklahoma, the University of Oklahoma, OU, they have been trying to attract students in addition to businesses from New York. I mean, is there an effort in Oklahoma to attract New York money and students and things like that?
There is, actually. So Oklahoma is very open for business. We've had a lot of major businesses that have come in, both of manufacturing, a lot of high-tech businesses, aerospace. Our number 2 industry in Oklahoma is actually aerospace. And so we have quite a bit of that engineering work and everything else coming in. We're currently stealing most of it from California, but we're definitely open to New York businesses as well that want to be able to come in and live a little freer.
Well, Exxon moved out of New Jersey. We just got that news. I mean, that was there since the time of John D. Rockefeller. But what are some of the other major issues that you're tackling right now? I mean, we're talking about elections, and obviously this is a midterm election year, and that's very important for us. It's important for us in the media, but work gets done as well. We just had this housing bill. You guys in the Senate passed it already. The House passed it, something like 358 to 30. It was very, a rare bipartisanship. That's a nice result for the American people, and it's got a lot to do with supply and demand.
It is, actually. The housing bill, the 21st Century Road to Housing, really focuses on what are federal regulations that are actually slowing down more access to more homes. And the hope of this legislation is to say, what can we do on the federal side what needs to be done, because it really needs to be done on the local side. So state and local regulations are much higher than the federal regulations on housing. But we're trying to be able to lead by example here to say, if we can bring down a lot of the regulations that are bringing up the cost, then we can actually do better on this. So there's a lot of regulations that have been just sitting there for a long time that we think, okay, somebody had a good idea and they wanted to impose it on everybody. It just drives up the cost over and over and over again. People just want to get into a house that's safe, that they can afford. And so that's the key aspect here. So this is not a big spending bill. This is not throwing billions of dollars and saying, we'll fix it by throwing more money. This is trying to get at the root of the problem, saying what is causing housing to cost more. It's the regulatory side on it. And so let's actually deal with those. Now, this is not taking out every regulation on it. It's just taking out the dumb ones that actually just cost more money for the consumer and aren't gaining anything. So that's the main focus here. It also has lots of different what are called pilot programs. Let's test out some different ideas that are happening in different parts of the country and see what we can do to actually find areas that are successful and then do more of that.
Senator, it's Judge Richard Weinberg. Good to talk to you again, sir. You and Senator Cotton, Secretary Rubio have been champions about protecting human rights and the victims of Chinese aggression within China. And you also have pointed out the threats that China poses to the United States and to the West. Can you tell me what you see going forward in terms of our relationship with China, what we should be doing?
Yeah, we're going to continue to do business with China long term, but we've got to do it with eyes wide open on it. This is not a full withdrawal from China, but this is everybody pay attention to what this really is. This is a communist nation that wants to control its own people, that wants to spread this kind of control around the world, and also to be able to manage everyone else's economy based on theirs. So they've stolen our intellectual property for decades now, copied it, tried to sell it back to us or sell it to different parts of the world. So that's been something everyone knows over and over again. But what we're seeing in the AI race right now is Chinese AI that's been trained with Chinese models, with Chinese communism for the answers, to try to send out AI agents all over the world to say, use Chinese AI to be able to solve your problems and give a communist flair to how you run your business and your family and what are the perspectives. So that's a very big threat. We faced a different threat in Oklahoma. The Chinese illegal aliens coming into Oklahoma, actually producing marijuana farms and then shipping out marijuana all over the country based on that. That's something we've actually shut down by the thousands of operations in my state that we have aggressively gone after. But the Chinese criminal organizations just determined they could pump lots of drugs into the country, like what they're doing with fentanyl. They tried to do with marijuana as well through illegal operations there. That has actually been shut down on the whole in my state. But we have to be eyes wide open on the very real threats, both to our families, to our society, and to our business with culture.
Senator, this is Fernando Mateo. I have a question for you. You led the 2024 border security negotiations.
Yeah.
Who do you see is trying to get into this country in abundance, other than Central and South Americans? Where are they coming from? Who do we need to be watching out for right now?
Well, what's interesting is our border's completely different now than what it was 2 years ago when I was trying to shut down the Biden administration from their open borders. If you go back to 2 years ago, we had 10,000 people a day illegally crossing the border. Now it is zero. People are not getting through the system as they were before on it. President Biden was just literally everyone all over the world could come. And so we had lots of Chinese nationals. We had people from all over the world that were coming into the country, and they're just being released. Now those folks are actually being picked up. They're being prosecuted, or they're going through the court system to actually get an answer to their case and then being removed, because it is very difficult to get asylum in the United States. The law is already strong, but what the Biden administration was doing is saying, we'll investigate your status later, and would give people years to be in the country before they even had any investigation. What the Trump administration is doing is saying, when you cross the border, we're going to check it right then. If you don't qualify, you don't get in the country. So we actually don't have a big push from any single country that's trying to be able to come at the United States right now with illegal aliens.
Senator James Lankford is our guest right now from the state of Oklahoma. And Senator, obviously oil and gas, a big part of your issues in the state there. Yeah. And we've got U.S. crude oil, WTI, at $71 a barrel right now.
I'm close to that 65 I predicted a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sure Oklahoma's happy with the businesses that have made a little bit of extra money in these couple of months, but they okay now with going back to the $60 level?
Yeah, at $60, the consumer's really excited, and the producers start to slow down, so you don't get as much drilling. It actually hurts economies. So there is kind of that magic number there where it works for consumers, it works for production as well. What we found when the prices jumped up on it, the producers, the folks that are doing the drilling, didn't add more wells because everyone knew it was temporary. As soon as the Strait of Hormuz reopened, we knew the prices were going to go down. In fact, they would go down significantly. John just mentioned, I just heard, because there'd be just a flood of oil that would hit the market and prices would drop precipitously. We've seen an enormous drop in Oklahoma on prices, and I don't know what it is there, obviously in New York, but we've seen a big drop just in the last week in Oklahoma. So that's going to happen for consumers all around the country with the Strait of Hormuz open and with the amount of oil that's finally hitting the world market again. Long term, you got to hit that sweet spot where it works for consumers, it works for the companies that actually produce it. That creates enough product to be able to be out there at a price that people can afford.
Supply and demand. Senator James Lankford, the Republican
By the
from
way,
go ahead.
That's basic capitalism. That's not
Sure is.
socialism. That's not setting the price. That's just basic capitalism
That's
that
right.
works.
If it isn't set by the law of supply and demand, it isn't going to last. Senator James Lankford, state of Oklahoma, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?